This is Tom, and welcome back to Bryn Mawr RC. Today we're continuing building our Land Rover Defender 90 CC01 kit from Tamiya. And today we're going to pick up on step 13, which is assembling the rear differential. So, and as we've discussed before, we're going to choose the locked version of the rear differential. Again, we're building this to make it be a good or better crawler slash off-road vehicle. So as you see on the right here, I have all the components that are required for this step 13. And I'll attempt to assemble it closest possible to the camera so you can see the detail here and how this rear differential looks as we build it. So on that note, no further ado, I'll just begin. So this part of the cover of the differential actually has a gear built in. This is literally just a cover. And we'll pop it on here and line up with the screws. So now we just need to put those screws in, and that's effectively, oh, you know what I forgot? Gosh darn. I got so carried away. Can you see the instructions here? I got so carried away looking at this part of the instruction, I forgot to actually put in the components that actually lock the differential, and that's here, which is piece G5 and G5 that go between the two. So let's see here. Oh, I see. Geez, I made this completely wrong. Sorry about that. I don't need these components. So there you saw the building of a regular differential or an open differential. Okay, there we have it. So that is the assembly of the differential. One issue I have here, for metal on metal, I should use a drop of Loctite on the screw. I don't have any right now, so I'm going to have to get some. But for now, this is the end of step 13, or the assembly of the rear differential. So moving on to step 14, this is quickly assembling the rear axle shafts. So I've laid everything out we need here, and even a few components we need for the next step. But generally this is just setting up the shafts for the rear axle assembly. So I'm just going to go ahead and begin, and we'll see where we go. I will be installing some of these E-ring clips, which I always have a tough time with, so I'll probably stumble and fumble with those for a little bit. This is one of the places where you can see the upgraded bearing. If you were not using the upgraded bearing, you would actually be placing on these plastic bearings that we can see here. So there would be the kit provided plastic bearing. It's a different size bearing, but you get the idea. So those are the two axle shafts with the rings, what do they call them? With the E-ring or the E-clips and the bearings. And then we next now move on to the rear propeller joint. Okay, so what I was struggling with here is this instruction. This is a rear propeller joint. One side is a little longer than the other, and it wasn't clear to me which way it goes. But after a little trial fit and looking at it more closely, the long flat end of the rear propeller joint goes into the bevel gear. The larger bearing goes on the other end. Okay, so that is, let's double check, that is the end of step 14. Moving on to step 15, we're actually going to attach the rear differential into its housing and place the axles and the propeller shaft. So most of this work here is just greasing these components up that we've already assembled and placing them into the housing and screwing it down. So not much to see here, but I'll just move forward with it. Okay, so here we can see that the bearings need to sit into the grooves correctly. Okay, I guess it sits in like that. So My question I had here is where this bearing should be, and I think it's there. It doesn't go directly against the rear differential. That bearing sits in there. Now step 15 continues to have us place in the propeller shaft, or the rear propeller joint. So what we do here is just grease up the teeth of the rear propeller joint. Remember, we have that small bearing that's attached there. Propeller shaft goes in here. There. Propeller shaft snaps in there. I'm going to turn it a little bit to move the grease around. So how this works then, as you see how the drive mechanism works. This is the model. This is the propeller shaft here. This is the electric motor here. So the propeller shaft comes out of the electric motor, and when we install it, that propeller shaft will attach to the propeller shaft, the rear propeller joint. And the propeller shaft is spinning like this, rotating like this, and this joint, or this gear here, turns that motion into a motion to turn this bevel gear here, which is actually the housing for the differential, and connected to the axles and thus the rear wheels. So that's how that all works. And now I'm just going to go ahead and attach the rest of the casing. Okay, so back. So this is the end of step 15. This is attaching the differential into the housing. So remember, we have two axles, propeller shaft, and there it is. That's the end of step 15. We'll pick up on step 16 of our CC01 Tamiya Defender 90 build on the next video from Bryn Mawr RC. Thank you much for joining. Take care. Goodbye.